Is this museum here all your idea? How did it come about?
It's interesting how it came about, by accident mostly. The recording studio was going to move to Midtown, and we had looked at several buildings. Then at the last minute, one that we were all set to move into had floor plans and everything, fell through. So one of our clients said, well, why don't you move into the back half of my building, which happened to be at 20th and I, in the building that used to house the Oasis Ballroom in Crabshaw Corner from 72 to about 86. So Ray said, can you find decor, some old posters and handbills from Crabshaw Corner and Oasis? That'd be nice to have in the lobby. I got a hold of Roger Shepard, who did 99% of the artwork for the club, and he sent me 50 pieces. Well, they're mostly small, and we had them framed up real nice and realized that that would barely make the lobby look interesting. Had some photos of Jerry Garcia and some of the other people that play here of note. All this wall space left over. We said, well, let's expand it. Let's make all the other venues represented up and down the halls. Let's take one room, and instead of calling it Studio 1, we'd call it AM. Instead of calling the other one Studio 2, we'd call it FM. And then another one we call Rock, which is where some of the really valuable historical posters are too. So what you have is a room dedicated to the early rock and roll on AM radio, mostly KXOA and KROY, with flyers for some of the shows they produced, little produced pieces that the radio stations put out featuring the jocks. In the other room, the FM room, is mostly homage to KSFM Earth Radio and KZAP. Now, we're going to put in some 93 Rock, 98 Rock items when we get them. Maybe some,
and Quad.
And maybe some Quad. Because Quad did a good job for a while of continuing the idea that there's new music coming out, let's take a listen to it, instead of just playing the hits that are created somewhere else. We haven't gotten to that yet. It's been keeping me pretty busy trying to track down the old rock posters, which form the bulk of the museum, and to my mind the really interesting part is the posters from all the various venues that have been open and closed in Sacramento from the mid-'60s until this week. Unfortunately, the money spent on art in rock promotion ended in the early 70s, and there was a long dry spell where there wasn't much done of any interest. Now there's more art, more poster work coming out, but it tends to be computer-oriented, very simple work. Every now and then... Templates, yeah. Every now and then there'll be something. Bill Graham Organization still puts out nice posters, although, again, to keep the money low, they'll take a nice poster and say that the group is appearing in San Jose, Sacramento, San Francisco, so that, you know.
Yeah,
consolidated. Yeah. But there's some good art. And I've turned over lots of rocks, opened lots of doors, and found things that people either didn't care about and gave us, or they said you can borrow it, and we framed them all up. Now, behind us here, these aren't framed. These are some we can actually sell. So we're displaying them for when we're open to the public on Second Saturday Art Walk. But most of them are in nice black frames under glass, and we have probably 300 items on the wall here. Items ranging from probably no value to over, you know, a couple thousands of dollars. And it's been really interesting tracking this stuff down, both the sources for the old stuff and the new current material. And seeing the reaction of people when they walk up and down the halls, remembering shows they've been to, or bands they've forgotten about, or just marveling at some of the art that's put into it.
Do you find that people are more reminiscent about the music itself, or do they talk about the radio stations of the past, like Croy, KZAP, radio?
Well, it depends on what room you're standing in, and it depends on who you are. There's a lot of people who come into the studio recording commercials. That could be one of them now.
Okay.
And
you can get that if you need to.
And they're in radio, or they have been in radio. So they look at some of the stuff in the radio rooms, and they remember back about people they worked with, or people they listened to or heard about. And then a lot of other people never were in radio, but they heard it. So they're interested in those rooms. But they may be music fans that have been to a lot of concerts, and they'll walk up and down the halls and point to things. And, you know, there was only $4. One good example of the time span, we have a handbill for Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young at Cal Expo. It was $4 to get in. And then we have a poster for Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young at Arco it doesn't list the ticket price, but of course the best seats were $201. So what a difference 30 years has made.
Right.
But I don't think there's all kinds of people coming through here, so there's all kinds of reactions.